Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, and today we're going to talk about something very interesting and a forecast for next year. I guess this will definitely help most of my viewers if you are looking to buy your property next year or do some planning for next year, because you definitely want to know what is going to go on in the private property market segment in 2026. And of course, please continue to help me to like and subscribe. Where are my subscribers? It seems to have stopped for a while already. and definitely very happy if you feel free to contact me at 93881661 to do a consult. I hope to bring more clarity as well as better decision making for your property journey. Okay, so let's carry on. Today I'm going to talk about is SG Property Market Directions 2026. First of all, of course, I want to talk about the cover photo that I have. I did give a bit of thought process. Most people want to put like Marina Bay area, financial area. I thought that was a bit boring. Why I decided to choose a HDB photo, because I realized that our real estate market, the bedrock, is actually the HDB owners and the HDB upgraders. Right, stamping from you buying a BTO and then the price go up and then you can upgrade easily, to even if you buy a resale market, the government gives you grant, and this grant goes in the form of CPF, which will stay with you through your property journey even when you upgrade. So I think indirectly HDB is our bedrock of fundamentals of our real estate market, which is very unique to Singapore itself. You don't see it anywhere in the world whereby public housing can allow people to upgrade fairly easily into the private segment. Okay, so following me through, not just talking about that, but of course, what can we see next year, or what are some of the leading indicators, or rather that had happened this year and they will transpire for next year. So for example, number one, I think one of the key leading indicators is interest rate has been dropping consistently right even up to next year, which I'll show you later. And what does it mean? I also have segmented it into, if you're a seller, what does it mean for you? If you are a buyer, what does it mean for you? So I hope that this helps to add value to your consideration. Yeah, you're either one lah. If not, you're just watching my video. Okay, so number two is second leading indicator, the high land bid prices. So that's the very interesting thing about Singapore, right? Everything is pretty much transparent. So whatever that is bidded will be announced to everyone, and that would form a pricing forecast for some of the investors or for some of the property buyers in next year. And how does that affect us? I will talk about that, of course. And next is any potential news of cooling measures, because after the very excellent results in October for the number of launch, about 2,000 units sold, right? The government must come in and send some signal on, guys, for sure. That happened last year, that happened this year. So we're gonna base on that and then do some projections and predictions and see what is likely to gonna happen. Of course, not to forget to give my audience a very good nugget or bonus is a product focus. OCR project that is about 300 PSF cheaper than average OCR transacted. Yes, guys, I'm going to leave this towards the end. Stay tuned, continue to follow me. If you don't want, you can fast forward to the end as well. Okay, so number one, let's talk about is the first leading indicator, which is interest rate drop. Okay, so you have seen, I mean, even OCBC, they came to my company, they also did a sharing. Fed has already doing rate cuts 2 times in September and October, and also likely to do one more cut, likely, maybe not, in December this year. If not, then there'll be one more next year and the year after. Okay, so when interest rate drops, I guess the next natural progression is people will naturally think that fixed deposits are not attractive anymore. So they are likely to take out those fixed deposits and put it in different asset classes. So some people choose to go into real estate, some people choose to go into STI, or rather our stock exchange. So you can see, actually, my company is very nice. They plotted a chart. Every time when STI goes up, when interest rate drops, property prices tend to follow through also. And that works the same for 2019 as well, post-COVID. When interest rates start to drop, the property price start to pick up. And we can see clearly that the interest rate is going to drop again. And if you have followed STI for the start of the year until now, it has always been on an uptrend. So that could be two schools of thought also. Some people, when they see that their stock portfolio has been on the uptrend, they might want to cash out some amount, just to be safe. And then naturally they'll look for a safer or not so liquid product. Then naturally real estate could be one of the choices. So indirectly, this is actually a good indicator to show us that how prices is going to be like next year, or how people are confident for next year. And this also tie into, I guess, why developers are bullish in terms of their land bidding, which I'll talk about it later. Okay, so what if you are a seller? What does it mean for you? Okay, so since I said that prices will continue to be on a general sustainable uptrend, right? If your listing is not moving, if you've been marketing your house already, try to do maybe a minor adjustment in your asking price, so that you can hook more inquiries to generate more viewings. Because I also start to see that there are some resale buyers coming back. Maybe they missed out on the certain launches. They don't want to go for launches. They want to go for new, and they are coming back to the market. So then you can really capture someone that is sincere and they like your place. Then you can do a proper negotiation, But if of course there are for sure sellers we are very fixated on the price. Nothing wrong. Maybe you have to wait until next year. My projection for resurgence of the resale property in 2026 onwards. Okay, but if you are a buyer, for sure, okay, the lowering of interest rate definitely ease your monthly repayment for sure. Okay, especially for upgraders. And it also increases your loan qualified based on your TDSR for upgraders going for big family size. So I think if you are going for bigger houses, definitely should go for it. If not, if you are first time buyers, you might want to take advantage of the loan upsize and go and grab the 1 or 2 bedroom condos that are these owners that need to upgrade. You probably can get a good deal out of it also. So I think this is quite a good buying signal for people, or rather when your income is, just right, you can go for a 1 bedroom or 2 bedroom. I think this is a good chance. Okay, so that's why I mentioned for sellers and buyers. Let's look at the next one that I'm going to talk about is, which I mentioned earlier also, the higher land bid prices. Okay, so not just on the higher land bid prices, but also the number of participants in the number of bidders. You can see that in the past few months, okay, say for example, the plot at Dunearn Road attracted 9 bidders. Okay, even the plot at Rangoon, which is Farrer Park area, attracted 9 bidders as well. And of course, the famous one that most of the real estate agents that you meet will definitely talk about is Bayshore having attracted 8 bidders. So in hindsight, you can see that developers are hungry for land banking for certain plots for sure. But you can also see that they are also very bullish in the way that they bid for the land prices. And I'm quite certain lah. I mean, we buy one house, I always share my homeowners or my clients, we buy one house, we do quite a fair bit of research already. Can you imagine these developers? They pour in hundreds of millions of dollars or even up to $1 billion. I'm sure their research is way more gao than us. They probably seen how to exit, they probably understand the pricing dynamics, and they probably did their risk assessment also. So not saying that we must follow their trend, but they do set a benchmark in pricing of in real estate prices in Singapore. Say for example, we can expect a higher launch prices next year for sure. Take for example Upper Thomson OCR, land cost 1,062, likely to launch at above 2,200. Okay, Chanchuria, which is in Khatib Yishun, the land price is 980 per square feet per PPR, likely to launch 2,100 and above also. Okay, if you look at very famous Chuan Grove, land price 1,003 for both plots, likely to launch. I don't think that bullish at 2008. I think maybe starting from 26 leading up to 27. Okay, so these are already forming the OCR prices. So which means to say average OCR price next year should hover around 2,300 PSF, which this year we already at average of 2,200 PSF. And average new launch prices for RCR project likely to trend around 2,700 PSF. And of course, with the new project land bid prices in the CCR, we can expect CCR price to be at 2,300 PSF next year onwards. Okay, so with this higher land bid price, what does it mean for you if you are a seller or a buyer, I'll explain later. But before that, I want to talk about the resurgence of the resale property. Because I do notice a bit of a trend, or rather this is just my analysis. Back then when I just started this journey in 2016 and 17, the new launch price and the resale price, the gap is not too significant. It is around 15%. So when the gap is a bit smaller, you notice that the resale don't move that much at around 5.6%. However, past COVID period, when the new launch price start to be more significant, the gap gets bigger at 45%. You can see that there is a increased interest in resale property, up 16 or close to 17%. So I guess this is how buyers might buying pattern might be, right? When they see that, wow, the new launch price is getting, the gap is too far, I think I feel safer if I buy resale. So what does it mean? Next year, when there is a new benchmark price, I just did it for this year, 2025, the benchmark price between new launch and resale is 48.2%. Next year likely to possibly maybe hit 49%. So what does it mean? I can forecast next year resale will move a bit lah. I'm sure there are buyers out there that they see the Chuan Grove price at 2006, 2007 PSF, or even really hit 2008, or Beige Hall hit 2008. I'm sure some of them will be hesitant lah. They will look back into the resale market. So what does it mean for you as an owner in the resale market? As I mentioned earlier also. So if you are fixated on a certain pricing, you probably have to wait until 2026 or close to 2027 to see some growth in the resale market. But of course, if you are an upgrader, I always share this, and this is very clear to me also, because I was just discussing with a colleague today. He also realized, for every 10% increase in your 1.5 million property, because you're waiting for the price to increase or the buyer to give you 10% more, right? That's 150,000. When you're upgrading to a 2.5 million to a $3 million purchase, right? We can also expect the price to go up by 10 or close to 10%, and that's 250 to 300k more. And this is exactly very clear because he did tell me that if he has waited for his resale EC to have jumped up another 100,000, the landed that he's going for would have gone up by 400,000 easily, because he can see clearly today when he was comparing the pricing. So I guess if you're an upgrader, right, time is of the essence. And also as you wait, your loan period gets shorter also, and your repayment gradually will climb up by the hundreds. So I think if you are a seller, unless maybe just be a bit more lenient in your pricing so that you can move on and go for a bigger property, right? But if you're a buyer, okay, so if you're a buyer next year, okay, so I guess if you are a buyer right now and you are already in the resale market for a while and you spotted one or two units of your liking, I would recommend you to move ahead and offer to the sellers. As I have mentioned, some of the sellers, because resale has been a bit slow in the past few months, have probably reached listing fatigue. They just want to get rid of the current place. Get rid a bit strong, but they really want to move on from the current place because they already spotted something else they wanted to buy. So I think you can get a good deal, and henceforth, I would say that if you are a resale buyer in the market right now, press ahead, dare to offer. You never know, you get a good deal at this period of time. Okay, so this is my take if you are a seller or buyer for this second indicator. Okay, next is if you have noticed, I mentioned also, there are news on prudency and potential cooling measures possible. Not so sure about this, but you can see that in the start of November, MAS 来了 very fast. Singaporean households should stay prudent with big financial commitments, including property, because they can see that the number of housing loan has been increasing, obviously from October's spillover. Okay, then of course they will get NUS, to do some poll, to do some statistics, NUS research, right? So they also flag out like, job losses as one of the key concern, cooling measures as another concern, and also real estate players brace market curbs as housing debt climbs. So what does it mean for you or for us as a consumer when you see this information? Of course, they are news, it must be headline grabbing, right? Headline worthy. But if you ask me how the government has been playing out their cooling measure strategy, right? If you notice, it's always when the year-to-year change is quite significant. So when you trace back to the last few cooling measures in 2018, which is one of the most recent one in the past almost 10 years, right, is when the housing price year-on-year change is at 7.9%. In 2021, there's also a cooling measure that happened because the housing price is 10.6%. In 2022, it happened again because housing price is 8.6%. So if you notice, somehow when it's close to this magic what number 8, things will start to change a bit, which was quite fortunate in the subsequent year because probably took effect in 2023. It went down to 6.8. In 2024, there's still growth, but slower growth at 3.9. And forecast right now, based on Q3 2025, we are at around 3.0%. Okay, so I guess seemingly we are in a safe zone. Okay, I don't think this year will end off with any cooling measures, so not to be too taken aback. But I can't say for sure in 2026, especially quarter 2 onwards. If you notice the launches that I mentioned earlier, like Bayshore as well as Chuan Grove, these are some projects that might bring up the OCR prices significantly, so which is not what the government wants. So very hard to entail or very hard to foresee on that. So how do we as a seller and buyer take this information and act smartly? You know, we think ahead, right? I mean, that's how our work should be. Okay, so if you are a seller, I guess, you know, cooling measure always creates a negative sentiments for buyers. So to be a smart seller, and if you're already marketing your unit, I think we should focus on right now the positive sentiments. You know, buyers are in the buying high, you know, they might have missed out on the new launch, they are still looking for something, or they managed to sell their house because resale picked up a bit and they are very happy that finally their house is moving. So at this moment, you know, it's a positive sentiment era, so take the buyer's offer seriously. You know, any offer coming is a good offer. You know, from there discuss, try to move up the price. If not, then wait for the next buyer. Okay, so if you are a buyer, you must also definitely take note, because a cooling measure can really dampen your purchasing power and your chance to own your dream home or condominium. Okay, especially when MAS did a shout out about housing loan prudency, right? I guess we could see maybe potentially they might want to lower the TDSR again, because it has been lowered from 60 to 55, and I mean, why not another 5% to 50%, right? And that might affect your purchasing power, because despite, I mean, sometimes we also, I mean, we aspire to live in a nice place, we work hard, we know our salary increase, and that's where your purchasing power can increase, ma. You know, you don't want to work so hard, then after that, because of TDSR, you go back to ground zero again. So I would say, if you are a buyer, strong buying signals for those who especially needs your salary to leverage on to buy into your home that you want. If not, if you continue to wait, then you might have to buy a smaller unit, which might not be something that you are looking for. Okay, so this is how I look at it. If you are a seller, if you are a buyer with upcoming potential news about cooling measures. Okay, having mentioned all this for the outlook for 2026, and I think these are key things to take note of, especially if you are planning to do your property purchase in 2026. And of course, we are still early in the game, so feel free to reach out to me, more than happy. Usually when I work with my clients, right, our journey is, you're going to see me for like 8 months on average to 10 months. So reach out to me early, we can start doing some planning, especially this holiday season. You know, you have little breaks from work, you want to spend some time with your kids, you also want to spend some time looking at your portfolio and how you can better upgrade. More than happy that you can reach out to me. I'll be still in Singapore, not traveling. So see you guys in December. Okay, let's move on to the most important part that most people are waiting for. Product focus. How is this new OCR project not being noticed by people? 300 PSF cheaper, thereabouts, you know. So we can, as I mentioned earlier, average OCR price in 2026 next year. We can see the launches that are coming up. Dairy Farm at $1,020 for their land cost, which is likely to go and launch, I guess, around 2,100 PSF. Lakeside 1132 is their land cost, likely to launch 2004, probably starting from price, because it is going to be next to the MRT station. Okay, Bayshore, everyone says it's going to be 2,800 PSF. I'm just being a conservative. So is for Chuan, 2,800 PSF. So next year you can see that the average land price for OCR is going to be around 2,300 on average. And this year we are already at 2,261. Okay, so I mean, what if really I have a project that is OCR still transacting at 1,009 PSF and a 4-bedroom? You can literally get it below $2.3 million. And it's a proper 4-bedroom. You enter, there is a dry kitchen, there is a wet kitchen, there is a bomb shelter hidden. It can also double up as a helper's quarter if need be. If not, you also have a study which you can open up to make it wider into a living dining area, 4 proper bedrooms. Isn't this what most upgraders are looking for in terms of a 2-3 bedroom condo or a 5-room HDB upgrader? And yes, it is still available. Okay, it is actually at Camber, Crescent. Okay, so if you are noticing the product, and I suggest a go ahead lah. It is pretty safe because even if you look at non-level 1 unit like level 4 at 2.295, just a shy below $2.3 million, right? If you run a search on my company's app, you can't find a 4-bedroom that is below $2.5 million now. Okay, the cheapest being at Faber Residence at 2.55 million. If not Lentoria, which is pretty still central north, not too far from Camber, is already at $2.980 million. Norwood Grand, which is you work backwards at Woodlands, $2.6 million. Okay, Canberra Crescent is the only one that has at 2.27 below $2.3 million. Chuan Park, of course, location is better. You already crossed $3.3 million. That's another $1 million more. Okay, if not, even if you look at Parktown, it's $3.1 million, and Alta in Clementi is $3.1 million as well. So if you ask me, most important is to buy into a very safe entry price with a low capital outlay. And I think Canberra Crescent just nice sit on the sweet spot. But of course, if you need more data points, I have also created who are going to be the buying pool, comparables with the area. If we project forward, what is the kind of selling price for the EC and the resale condos in the area. And then of course, we also talk about what is the rental yield going to be like in the area. And of course, I will explain to you what is my exit strategy when it comes to talking about Canberra Crescent. Okay, so feel free to reach out to me to discuss about this. If you have been sitting for a while and you're deciding what project to go into or what project to invest into, or rather which 4 bedrooms that are safest for your family to consider at this point, more than happy that you can reach out to me. If not, that would be the end of my talk for today. Not that I'll not see you in 2025, even though I'm talking about 2026. I'll definitely want to see you in my next video. End off with my little very cute kitty. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you. Bye bye.